This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to the Good Neighbors Podcast. Today we have a good neighbor, Brad Ferguson from Upchuckle Education. How's it going, Brad?
Hi, Sean. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, look, the sun is out, so you can't complain. I felt like for a while there I was popping vitamin D's like they're Skittles. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to see.
And so what I find pretty cool about doing what we do is, we have guests on the show all the time, and sometimes they come on the show we never met before, never had the chance to really know one another, that type of thing. And we kind of discover that throughout the course of the show, which also makes that for good entertainment. But you and I have already had the chance to meet before. So nice to be able to catch up with you. And I'm looking forward to letting you tell your story on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for having me.
So I already obviously know, but for the listeners that don't, tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure thing. Well, Upchuckle Education is a department of my production company, Upchuckle Entertainment, which gets a little confusing. So for a year now, what I've been doing is providing custom-tailored one-on-one training in art, animation, story development, basically anything creative that people want to learn. Think of me kind of as a piano teacher almost for anything creative, for any age, any experience level. That's
phenomenal. When I was a kid, I used to draw. I
hear that a lot. It always makes me sad when people say I used to, because kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing is so that we can keep those muscles, working out and keep those ideas flowing. So I'm trying to bring people back into doing it again.
No, that's phenomenal. I'm sure there's a big audience of people that would be interested in wanting to get back into doing something that maybe they kind of lost their way, or maybe they don't have not necessarily the passion, but maybe like they don't have the right avenues. Maybe they didn't know about it.
Exactly. Passion's yet to be discovered, I think, as a big, there's a lot of people out there that once they start, I think they're really going to fall in love with creating. And not only that, but communicating with other people through their visual mediums and entertaining. That's a big reason I do what I do and always have, is because nothing is better than watching somebody laugh at, a funny drawing you did, or if it's an animation, you create these jokes or these scripts, and to have the audience respond in the way that you intended, that's a really magical feeling. So I'm trying to get more people out there to experience that wonderful feeling.
Love it. Love it. Love the word magical. For those who don't know, I'm a bit of a nerd. People are going to start to figure this out over the show. And you would never know unless I told you, but I'm also a big Disney fan. So animation, cartoon, all that kind of stuff. I'm all over that stuff.
Good.
So
yeah, same here. I mean, you can see my toy collection behind me. I don't hold back. So it's important. You need to stay in touch with your inner child and just enjoy the ride, right? That's what it's for. Entertainment is such a release, and people have always needed it. So why not create it?
You'd be proud of me, man. My mom did daycare growing up.
Oh yeah.
And so we moved in when we moved from Winnipeg. I was a young guy. I was like 7 years old, and she started doing a daycare. And it's when I started kind of getting into the drawing, 10 years old, 11, 12. And my parents finally finished their basement, as my mom had her own business in the daycare. And we taped and everything down there, but they didn't paint or anything. It was just, they just kind of did the drywall down there. Mm-hmm. So she goes, "Hey, can you go and draw some cartoon characters?"
Awesome.
So I did the full on Winnie the Pooh, every character. It was pretty legit, man. I have to say.
That's great. I bet. Yeah, be careful. The Disney lawyers might come after you. But that's a little chasing down a little 7-year-old. Yeah, that's and I love hearing those kinds of stories. And I have very similar stories. And actually, I remember, not to hit too heavy on the toy theme, but I remember my mom also did a home daycare for a little while, and I was really jealous of all the other kids playing with my toys. That was a real problem for me. So I've gotten more generous over the years. I'd like to point that out. But anybody can come over and play with my toys now. So no, very similar stories for me, like in terms of, I've been drawing ever since I can remember. But anyway, we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Love it. Well, look, I mean, I love asking this question because everybody has their own path. They have their own journey. And we have a lot of different businesses on the show. So, very different from someone who maybe, lays down hardwood flooring for a living, or somebody who maybe is a realtor who, buys and sells home for a living, but somebody who's in your line of work with that kind of creative, background, and it being something unique that you don't really kind of come across every day. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about your journey and, why and how did you get into this line of work?
Ooh, how much time do we have today? Boy, it's been a long road. So to go way back, I have drawn for as long as I can remember, and I loved it. But I actually started out wanting to be a movie star as a kid. That's what I really wanted to do. So although I was always the person people would come to, oh, can you do me a drawing of this, or do me a birthday card for my mom or something like that. I'd always be that person as well. And similar to what you were saying, I was always obsessed with Disney, Looney Tunes. I had all the soundtracks. I listened to them constantly. Grew up watching Looney Tunes, loved it. So, but I wanted to act. That was my big thing. So, I mean, I did all the theater plays and everything. And when it came time to decide what to go to college for, it was actually my high school drama teacher that said, Brad, they have an animation college down in Oakville. I don't know if that's a statement on my acting abilities to have my, my drama teacher kind of, veer me toward animation. But suddenly a light bulb went off because at the time, I was obsessed with Beauty and the Beast. I love the character of the Beast, the performance and the power behind him. And, a light bulb went off. And I was like, I'm a self-taught artist from a small town. What could go wrong? I'll apply to the world's most prestigious animation college, or one of them. The word was that they had 4,000 applicants from all over the world for 100 spots every year. So I applied. Of course, my drawings were, I did not know what I did not know. So I had a long way to go. So needless to say, my first application was rejected. So I took a year, tried to work hard, teaching myself, got on the waiting list the second time. So that was an improvement. And the third year, I finally got it. So,
Nice.
So I started after I finished animation, I started my career working in the animation industry. I was an animator on a show called Peep in the Big Wide World, which we won an Emmy Award for Best Animated Series. From there, I became a character designer, storyboard artist, supervisor, many things, until eventually in 2009, I started directing television shows, which I absolutely love, because being a bit of a control freak's not the right wording, but just loving every aspect of entertainment and animation, and kind of having your fingers in every aspect of it, and being able to make it your vision. And that was a wonderful aspect. And not to mention, you're working with so many talented actors and artists and everything. It was a dream job for me until I decided, I've always loved meeting with people. My nephew or niece, they really want to draw one day, or work in animation one day. Could you meet them and look at their art? So I'd meet them at coffee shops, and I'd go to summer camps and do little animation workshops, or church youth groups, things like that. And so eventually, when I was down in Toronto, I reached out to a college that was down there and said, if I wanted to gear my career toward education, how would you recommend I do that? And the response I got was, do you want to start in 2 weeks? So I started teaching animation at this college and immediately fell in love with it. Like, just working with the students, seeing all these wonderful ideas they'd come up with. And not only that, but inspiring them. I like being there for people, and, they'd come to me with their troubles or their struggles. And beyond that, they're ready to give up on animation, throw in a towel. It's a lot of work. It's really difficult. That's why everybody doesn't do it. But seeing those moments where they get the idea, and they break through that barrier, essentially, it's absolutely magical, seeing them get remotivated again and remembering why they do it in the first place. So it wasn't long before, when I was at the college, before I became coordinator of the program, and eventually director of the entire 4-year animation diploma program. But it was a private college, so I love my job. I thought I was going to retire there, but it was a private college, which got sold. So there goes my dream career working at the college. So I returned to the industry. I started assistant directing on a new Disney preschool show. But It wasn't doing it for me. Like I missed teaching. I'd been bitten by the education bug. I'd missed teaching so much that I really had to, I knew I had to get back into it. So at the same time, happy accident, I just happened to be rent evicted from my place in Toronto. So I came up to Barrie and living on my sister's couch for a little while. And you hear those old stories of living in a
Yeah.
van down by the river and the struggles you face. So I thought now is a good time to take the leap that I've always wanted to do. So I've returned to Barrie with and began Upchuckle Education about actually a year ago today almost, um, where I decided I want to work with people one-on-one, as I said earlier, but I also do group workshops. I have this camp that I've developed called Cartoon Camp, where we have another one coming up for March break for 12 to 17-year-olds, where we spend a week together, 30 hours drawing. I provide all the materials. We do a pizza party on the last day and just have a lot of fun learning to draw, expressing ourselves. This week, this upcoming March break, we're going to be drawing characters and perspective and even touch on animation a little bit. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. And then, of course, the secret long-term plan is I'm actually intending to start my own private college here. So focusing in art, animation, and anything entertainment studies. So that's the long-term goal. But for now, Upchuckle Education.
Love it. I wish I was in that age bracket to be able to go to that. I'd be like your
Oh,
best
yeah.
student. Totally.
Yeah. And going back to my beginnings, that's exactly why I started it too, was because this is something I wished I had when I was that age. I didn't have, when I was growing up in the small town, I didn't have the supports I needed. I didn't have somebody to turn to say, how can I make my portfolio better for trying to get into that college? I'm that guy now. I can be that for other people. So
Nice. That's phenomenal work. Congratulations, and looking
thank you.
forward to watching you. Continue to grow your business and then eventually get that college going. That'll be phenomenal for people who
Thanks
want to
very
be
much.
able
I
to
think it'll
take
be
their career.
phenomenal for Barrie. Like, I mean, it'll be great. I mean, why not Barrie, right? Such a beautiful place. And, I'm planning to go big with this thing. I'm talking, students from all over the world coming in to create entertainment for people. So I think it'll be a fantastic thing.
We're happy to be able to help you spread that message for sure.
Thank you.
So this question is, I always like asking this one too,
Mhm.
because yours is so unique. We don't typically will get, or especially myself, such a unique, business model in what you do for a living. So I'm really curious to ask you, sometimes there's myths that are out there or misconceptions in every, service industry, every product industry. What would be maybe a misconception or a myth that people have about your type of business?
Can I have two answers to that?
100%.
Okay. So one, it's just for kids. It's not just for kids. Look at all the entertainment out there. You like to play video games. You like to watch a Marvel movie. You like to watch Star Wars. It's not just for kids. Humankind has needed entertainment since we could hold a wad of clay in our hands and started drawing on cave walls. We need entertainment. We need that outlet. So basically, again, to not be too repetitive, it's not just for kids. It's for everybody. It's for the business person. This is something I'm hoping to, make people aware of. If you have your own business and you're like, I really wish I had this kind of character for a mascot, rather than calling somebody and not dealing with that whole aspect, hire me. I'll teach you how to bring your own ideas to life. So that's one aspect. um another myth, to go back to your question, that I can learn it all from a YouTube tutorial, which they're fantastic. They're great. I use YouTube tutorials all the time. They really are great, but they do have, as we all know, a limitation, and that is you're not getting that custom feedback live, dealing with the problems that you're having, the struggles that you're facing, or the support that you need as you're doing it. So while they're great to teach you the basics, and you can sometimes find a lot of the answers you're looking for, they aren't specific to the project you're working on, and that's what I can help provide. Because all the curriculums we create for our custom one-on-one lessons, like, I interview the person, I find out what their goals are, I find out what they already know, so there's not redundancy in the curriculum, And, why teach somebody perspective when they already know perspective? I'm not going to teach you that. So we find our starting point after the interview. I go away, I create assignments, I create curriculum based on the time that we have together and what those people want to learn. So very, very custom tailored, essentially, is my point.
Yeah, I'd use the word robust as well.
Yeah.
Definitely something created for you, tailored to you. And like you said, the assignments, everything that comes along with that. You watch a YouTube video, and again, not taking anything away from it, but you can scroll this, screw this nut and bolt together and do this and that, if it's something mechanical. But when it comes to art and design, having somebody who really knows what they're talking about to guide you that whole stretch of the way, I think.
Exactly. And my experience as a director, I've directed over 180 episodes of television. So we dive into story, script, storytelling, character development, whatever you want to learn. I had a student in the summer where he wanted to write a music video for a song that he really liked. So we sat down and we wrote a 7-page script explaining exactly what's on screen and how to put it together. And then from there, we can move on to the storyboard process. So it's about every stage of the process of making film, essentially. I can help people with. And if, I'm the first person in the world to admit I don't know everything. I never will know everything. And I'm fine with that. That's the beautiful part of being an artist, is that you're continuously learning. It's always a journey. So, but I do have a lot of contacts from the industry. So if it's something that I don't really know how to learn, I have people from the industry, I know, experts that are going to work up to my quality level of providing great education for people to get them to teach the areas where I might not be expert in.
Yeah, that'll come a long way too for the college, I bet, having a lot of contacts like that.
Absolutely.
So. Well, most people, or some people, as we continue to do the podcasting, are going to get little glimpses into not only the people and the business owners and guests that we have on the show, but also into their hosts as well. And for those who've seen the first one between Jeff and I, Jeff's interviewed me. I'm going to interview him later next week.
Cool.
To get to know us a little bit more. But for those who do know, the word fun is definitely in my vocabulary, and it's definitely at the forefront. Talking about business is fun, but having fun and talking about fun is even more fun, pun intended. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to fun, other than maybe what's behind, or maybe it's true as well too, what do you like to do for fun when you're not creating, when you're not teaching people? What do you like to do for fun?
Well, that's the funny thing about being an artist, right? Because the line between what I do for a living and who I am as a person, that's a very fuzzy line. So
right.
My immediate response is I like to draw. I like to come up with story ideas. I like to, dabble in 3D and create. I really get obsessed with 3D modeling. I love doing that, getting in there and getting it into every nook and cranny and really bringing something to life. That's my favorite passion. But outside of the art realm, I would say I in spending time with my fiance and my daughter. Love hiking. I've always been a walker. I've those stories. When I was a kid, I used to walk 80 miles through a snowstorm. Yeah. That was me. Those I tell those stories to my daughter, and yeah, that was me. I love walking. That's my meditation time. I think that's always very, very important, to take that time for yourself and clear your mind, and I actually come up with more ideas. So it does lead back into my whole creative aspect.
Full circle.
Yeah, I didn't realize that till this moment. Yeah.
So where would you go hiking when you're out and about? You've been here for a full year. Maybe I can give you a hidden gem. Maybe.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, please, by all means.
Or is it what's a regular spot for you?
For me, not to be too typical, but I love the waterfront. I love walking around the bay and up the rail path and everything. But going out past I know there's a nice trail out by the school board, the old Springwater area in there. But anywhere I want to walk, essentially, as long as I'm walking, I'm happy.
Well, different times of year offer different places. I had the privilege of living up in Oro-Medonte, around Line 4 and Bass Lake, so just on the west side of the highway. I used to go
camping at Bass Lake, yeah.
Yeah, the Simcoe County Trails, the Copeland Forest, it's called. If you want to take a look at that, and for the guests on the show or the audience listening, great spot to head up there, and you get your seasonality aspect as well. If you have if you like snowshoeing, it's great in the wintertime, and then of course the spring, the fall colors. are a great spot to head up there, and you get lost in there.
That's awesome.
They go forever and forever. So maybe a little gem for you to try out.
I think there's that Ridge Road. I think there's a certain area
Yep.
you hit it going through Oro where it's like a tunnel of trees, and it just I drove through it one Thanksgiving, and it was just magical. I loved it.
Yeah, I love that word magical. We'll keep using that.
You'll find I use that word a lot because I still believe in magic.
Love it. So for me, living my life and getting to where I've been in my career for a long time. You always face adversity in life.
Mm-hmm.
But then going through a hardship or a period of hardship for me happened to me 2 years ago, leading up until the start of last year, where I got the opportunity to start my business. And there are some things I spoke about in the show where I'm the guest on the host, and how that kind of made me a better person. It's a great question to ask, and wanted to see if there was ever a life-changing moment, a hardship that you went through, and how you rose above that, maybe
so many.
How you became a stronger person for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about art too, is it's such a release, right? It's such a way to get through things, to put your idea, get the stuff that's swirling around in your brain, to get it out on paper. It's such a release. But the more career-oriented adult answer, I'd say, would be the animation industry. I mean, we're going through a huge lull right now. I find the industry always hits 7-year cycles, ups and downs, where everybody's hiring, everybody's creating content, and then boom, everybody is laid off. And it's brutal right now. I've never seen it like the way it is right now. Of course, the writers and actor strikes didn't help our industry.
Right.
And then we have the unspoken, fast approaching complexity of AI. But so my personal story, though, what I would say I've kind of made me stronger is in those ups and downs. I've been laid off more times than I can count, very unexpectedly, studio struggling. I've had, I think, 3 employers go bankrupt throughout my career overnight. Like you go into work and all of a sudden the doors are locked, or, that kind of thing. So, and when you're working on a project, creatively, you're passionate, you're invested in that thing, you're passionate about it. You live and breathe this stuff.
Right.
So to have it suddenly yanked away from you, never mind the point that you don't have a paycheck anymore, that's scary enough as it is. But and you work with all these fantastic people that you feel like a family, and then everybody's just out on the street suddenly looking for work. So that's something that has, I'm focusing purely on the negative right now, but that makes you stronger. That makes you more resilient. That makes wiping the dust off after each time that happens, and getting up on your feet again, and rebuilding yourself, your confidence, your connections in the industry, all that. Every time that it happens, you get stronger and stronger. So I'd say that's a big one for the animation industry for sure.
Well, happy to see that you broke through those barriers and rose above, decided to take on a massive challenge that not a lot of people in the world would ever take that risk and becoming a business owner. So congratulations, commend you for rising to the top on that.
Thank you. Thanks.
What's one thing that you wish people knew about your business?
I'm going to be repetitive again. It's not just for kids. I can't tell you how often it actually happened again yesterday. Almost every day, I'm approached by an adult that says the phrase, "I can't even draw a stick person." And I hear it my response to that is, that's because you haven't hired me to teach you. So you need to, I really am of the belief that anybody can learn to draw, to write a story, to create. It's all up here. It's just a matter of taking the time and being willing to take the time to focus and learn and put it out there for the world to see. So I think that's a common misconception. I think anybody that's ready to just say, "Oh, I can't do it, so I'm not going to try." Sure, I can't teach you passion, right? You need to have that within you, and that eagerness to want to discover it. So there's that. What else do people not maybe know? I have my cartoon camp coming up. I teach online and in person. So, and very flexible as well. So, if you go to my website, for example, and you see all the services I do and you're like, yeah, that isn't really what I'm looking for. I'm the kind of guy where you go email me and say, I didn't see this on your website, but do you do stuff like this? Like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I mean, I'm open and flexible to help you achieve your goals, essentially. Or, your grandchild, if you know that they're interested in it, or your child, or whoever. It's just, I want to help people learn how to create and express themselves.
Well, all great information. Thank you so much. And a great segue into that is for those who are very interested, because I know there will be a bunch listening to this episode. How do people get in contact with you?
Always through my website is the best way, probably. Let's see. So my parent company is upchuckleentertainment.com. So that's how you'll find Upchuckle Education and Cartoon Camp and the sponsorship program I have. Oh, I didn't talk. That's something else people don't know about me is my sponsorship program. I'd like to talk about that if I can for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Student gallery. I like to take photos and celebrate the time that I have with my students and their art. So there's a great little student gallery on my website. So upchuckleentertainment.com. I'm also on all the social medias except Twitter. I even signed up for the TikTok last week. I couldn't believe it. So we're getting there. We're getting hip. We're getting clutch. Learning how to work everything. One social media at a time. So yeah, basically if you look for Upchuckle Entertainment or Upchuckle Education, Google it, you'll find us.
Amazing.
Yeah, and if I could just one other thing I don't think that people know about my company is my student sponsorship program. So this is something very near and dear to my heart where either businesses or individuals can come forward and say, I want to sponsor the creative journey of a student. That could be, for example, signing them up for my upcoming cartoon camp for the week. Basically, they cover the cost of the cartoon camp week, as an example. And I coordinate with local charities to find a child or teenager who's either in great financial need, is living in foster care, or is mourning the loss of a parent or sibling. So they get to go to cartoon camp, all expenses paid. But beyond that, Upchuckle matches that donation. So that sponsorship of one student automatically becomes two students.
That's phenomenal stuff. You talk about putting the goodwill forth. There's not much else better than that. Glad we got the chance to reconnect.
Me too.
You fast forward from when we last sat down together. We're partnered with charities. Barrie Women's and Children's Shelter come to mind. Mm-hmm. Putting your upcoming events with the kids, the camps. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see maybe offering to put that into our magazines, into the calendar of events. Let's let some other people know, and spread that message as we do everything we can, and then come up to the networking events too. I'd like to see give you the floor at the next one, just to help spread that message as well, and see if we can get some children in need and help connect our local communities, charities. For a great cause. Thanks a lot for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Sean. That was great.
All right. Stick around for right after this.
You bet.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.